know that everyone is excited to be able to learn more. I am excited to know that our Leads program, after a little over 2 years in our conference, is still growing. It's still having new people come on board. And we had a lot of these kind of videos originally. And then obviously it's had its own changes and morphs, as I would say, as naturally happens when you learn and you grow. And so it's been due time for us to do a video like this for quite a while, just to kind of fit more what it is we're doing currently. A lot of our information is on the website, but this way, hopefully it'll be more concise for everybody to just kind of have it all together. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the share screen, just reminding everyone, if you're able to keep it muted until the end, have your questions or comments put in the chat, and then we're going to do Q&A at the end. I'm just going to go through the presentation, and then we'll grab those at that time. So let's see if my PowerPoint pulls up properly. There we go. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So introduction to the Leads program, Georgia-Cumberland Conference. We've had, like I said, the Leads program now. It started when pandemic started, pretty much spring of 2020. So it's quite a bit now, and we have learned a lot along the way. We have been taking a lot of feedback. We're trying our best to simplify it for everyone. So that's kind of the attempt with this. And one of the main questions that's being asked is, what is Reach Your Neighbor Leads program? And the simple definition that we have is that Reach Your Neighbor Leads program is designed to connect local church members with searching souls in their community so that they can start Bible studies and form relationships. So it is a combination of both building relationships and starting Bible studies instead of just focusing on Bible studies. It's not like the Voice of Prophecy, Discover Bible School, where people just log in, join the program and with Discover Bible School and they just mail lessons, right? Or some other kind of thing. The purpose of the Leads program is very much focused on these names being the closest to the churches, so that each member, the members of the church, can form relationships with the people in their community. They can meet them, they can interact with them. So we find ways to find those searching souls in that community and deliver those names and that contact information to those churches for the follow-up that would end up coming from it. And there we go. So why is it that we're doing that? Why does the Lead program exist? And the best answer that it is for me anyway is in Romans chapter 10, verse 14 to 15, where it says, how shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach unless they're sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the gospel of peace and who bring glad tidings of good things. A lot of times we focus on making sure that we have a good church program and have good greeters and have, good attractive things for the people in the community to come out to our church. And all of those things are good things. But here it makes it very clear that it says, how shall they preach unless they are sent? And the Great Commission, it says go. It doesn't say wait and stay and they will come, right? So we need to be going. That's why it exists. We need to find the people that might be interested, and we need to go to them, not just invite them to come to us. It says, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the gospel of peace and bring good glad tidings and good things, right? So let's be those feet. Let's be those feet that go. Let's find out where it is we need to go. And God is sending all of us. As it says in another quote, it says, God could have used other means for accomplishing his purpose, but in order for us to develop a character like his, he chose to use us humans in this work. And it's not just selective humans, it's all of us, because we get to benefit from the blessing. So that's why this has started. Is we realize that we need to be collecting all of these different leads or interests. A lead is basically just a more modern name for what some of you may be familiar with the word interest. In other words, just a contact in the community. And where do they come from? They come from Facebook ads. They come from many Adventist media ministries. They come from postcards and other sources. So let's go through those a little bit to kind of make sense of it. Facebook ads for free Bible studies. Now, these are not ads. These ads appear in people's feed. This is not a post that somebody's putting. They look like this. And when you're scrolling through your Facebook page, you might see one of these ads. Now, most Seventh-day Adventists will not be seeing this ad on your own personal Facebook page. And the reason for it is because on purpose, you're filtered out so it doesn't advertise to you if somehow Facebook actually can know you're Seventh-day Adventist, so that we make the most of the ad space, so to speak. And these are designed by different companies. We usually use Sermon View. We've used others in the past. We can do some on our own at the conference. And so we are able to do these different ads, and they're very generic. Please note that they're very generic. It's not saying It Is Written Bible Studies. It's not saying Prophecy Bible Studies. It's not saying anything specific, because we need the churches to be able to customize what they do, right? We have 160 more than 160 English-speaking churches in our conference that are all getting the same leads. And we can't kind of fix everybody into a very narrow program. All the churches need to have the flexibility to use the study guide of their choice, so to speak. So because of that, it's a more generic feel and look to it. After they do this, they click on sign up when they see this ad. So obviously they're excited and interested enough to click on sign up. And when they click on sign up, it takes them to a page similar to this. This page has changed. It's been different at times. It's just one of the ones that happen at some point. And they end up giving a lot of info, their first and last name, their email, physical address, city, state, and it's not showing at the bottom also phone number. So that's a lot of information when they do on Facebook. Obviously, there was enough desire for them to get these free Bible studies that have been offered. Now, nowhere on here does it say how these Bible studies will be delivered to them. The moment that they click submit after this form, they get an automated email coming to their inbox of the email address that they selected here. You get an automated email just giving them, you will receive these Bible studies in the next few weeks, is what it says in that email. The reason it says few weeks is because sometimes it takes churches a little bit. We don't want you to wait a few weeks, but sometimes a delay can happen. We wanted to make sure we kind of set that expectation in their mind so that they're not confused. But it doesn't say someone will show up at your door, because that probably would just weird them out or scare them off. Because most things that you get on Facebook, you don't get a person. I'm sorry, you guys, I've had a very scratchy throat the whole week. And it's starting to bother me again. So I'm going to do a zinc lozenge and see if it helps. So pray for my throat. I don't want to get into a coughing spell again. So these are the Facebook ads. The other ads that the other sources of leads that we have is the SDA media ministries. Which is Voice of Prophecy, It Is Written, Amazing Facts, Bible Research, Project Steps to Christ, also known as Peace Finders, and other ones. These are not necessarily requested Bible studies. Some of them have just done a book or a video or some other way for them to have given out their name. So these, you're basically finding out that they have spiritual interest of some kind, and you would be basically connecting with them to find out if that spiritual interest leads them to want more Bible studies or just a prayer partner or some community event they could be invited to. So that's just depends on each individual one. And the notes are in the database as to which one of these they came from. Another said, if it says postcard, it's because a postcard was mailed to them. And it would be mailed either specifically to media leads, such as 3ABN leads or LE leads, because those did not want us to visit people. So we actually had to mail it to them. And then it would also sometimes be done in a saturation mailing. So it would be one or the other. What they do is they get the card, they scan the QR code. They don't fill anything out and send it back to us. They do everything electronically. They scan a QR code and they go straight to this website and put in that code. And then they fill out that same form that you saw earlier on the website to be able to get their Bible studies, and they get that same confirmation email. Other sources would be, depending on your church, the church sometimes will put in literature evangelists in there, the leads from literature evangelists, surveys that a church does, they may put those in there, referrals from other churches. And what I mean by that is, say that I've been studying with somebody in Atlanta, and then that person now moves to Knoxville. So that when that happens, we get contacted and somebody says, hey, I've got this person moving to another city. Can you find me a closest church that will take them over? So then we will transfer that to the other church's interest tracker account with all of the notes of what has happened so far. So those are super hot leads usually because there's already been an engagement, and obviously people move. And if they move within our conference territory, that becomes really nice. The typical evangelistic seminar, community events, food bank, whatever, many others, right? So your church can use this interest tracker that I'll talk about in a moment, can use this database to add your own leads. If you are not aware of that, you can, whatever event you're having, maybe some people are saying, well, I want to put all the non-attending members from our church that are not attending to be able to come, and you can put them in the database. So how does the church receive these leads? Oh, my throat is not getting better. Okay. These leads are sent through interest tracker software to the closest church within 20 miles. And so it's able to detect it. It's a really neat thing that interest tracker has been able to develop from SermonView. And whenever they sign up on Facebook, they actually get there within minutes of their sign up to the closest church within 20 miles. And then to access the leads, you need to log into your church's interest tracker account. And some pastors have multi-church districts, so they're able to toggle and see all of the different church accounts that they are responsible for. The question is, how does a member receive leads? This is how a church receives the leads, but how does a member receive leads? So the pastor or the leads leader are the ones that decide who has access to the church's leads account. Once a member receives access from their pastor or leads leader, they can see any leads assigned to them in interest tracker software. Unless they get admin or coordinator privileges, they would only see the names that have been assigned to them. And that's to remove confusion. Because if you see 100 names in there, it can get very confusing to try to sort through them. But if you're just seeing the 5 or 10 names that have been assigned to you, it's a lot easier. And so if you're wanting to get involved, if you're seeing this video or if you're on this call, the Zoom call for the first time, and you're not part of this interest tracker software, if you want to get involved with this, you need to talk with your pastor or your leads leader so that they can get you access and they can decide where it is that you would fit into their structure. Some people end up being just prayer partners for the people that are following up on leads. Some are being able to be the tech helpers. Others are the ones that are giving the Bible studies, and others are actually coordinators or assistants in assigning leads. So it's just depending on how each church organizes themselves, you would need to talk to your pastor on a local level for that. So interest tracker, this is how you get to the website. It's interesttracker.org. You could just type in interest tracker in search engine, and I'm pretty sure it'll come up as to one of the first. And then very important that you know to go to interesttracker.org/training. We are not going to be doing an in-depth training on using the software interest tracker because there's no way we could do as good of a job as the creators of it. And when you go to interest tracker training, which I will show you in a moment, they have very short, like 3-minute videos on every single feature. And it's a fairly easy to use software as far as softwares are concerned. It's still got, its own learning curve, but all of those videos are on there. There's only like 10. So, sit down for half an hour and watch them all kind of thing. And then you can pause and watch it again. It could give you an idea of just simply how to log in, how to distribute the leads, or how to make notes or whatever you may need to with that. So we're going to do a short demo right now. I'm not going to do the extent that they do, but I want you all to see. Let Let me do share screen with the demo. There you go. So when you log in, this is basically the dashboard of what you would end up getting to. We happen to be in the GC conference account, which is where the orphans end up. Orphans are the ones that don't have a church within 20 miles of them, that are in dark areas of our conference. But anyway, so you go in here, you could either click on interest or you can click on interest here. I don't like clicking new in the last 30 days because you have to select dates and it makes it confusing. So I'll recommend, if you can, to stay away from this one and to always just go to interest. And then when you click on the interest, it will give you the entire list only if you are a coordinator or a church admin. If you're just a basic user, is what it's called. If you're a basic user, then you would only see the names assigned to you. You would not be seeing all of these additional people. It would just be your names. And you have two options. You could either see it as the interest list or as the map view. In the map view, we happen to have some of them that are outside our conference because that's what we have to do. We have to pass them on. But in the map view, you will be able to see where that person is located. You'll be able to click on that person. And then you can click on them specifically. You know, I will do a link in the new tab so I don't lose my space, but you would click on them basically, and you would be able to get all the details on that person. You can get their email, their address, their phone number. If they had one, it would show it up, the person it's assigned to, the where it came from, the date it was added, and all the different notes and interactions. So that's if you end up clicking on just one of the names. Now let's go back to the interest list. And I want to make sure you're really aware of these tags. One of the most important things for you to be aware of here is the column with the blue things. These are the tags. And so you'll be able to see Sermon View Bible Study leads, right? These are the ones that came from Facebook. Sermon View means Facebook. The more recent ones, we've started adding the word Facebook or FB. Let me put here 2022, so you can hopefully see some of the ones. This is your search bar is going to be very helpful. You'll be able to see hopefully some of the ones that have come in recently, like this one right here. You see SV is for Sermon View, Facebook Bible Study request in January 2022. You don't need to know what every single one of these codes mean, because when you click on view, you'll get some idea in the actual details. Recommended approach, get in touch by phone, email, phone number, right? So it'll tell you what this person has requested Bible study and what you're needing to do. See, offer Bible study. It's the God Cares ad that they responded to. So you know here in the offer request what it is they requested, even if this many tags here don't make sense to you. Yeah, because it's going to say SV, which is Sermon View, Fall 2021, Facebook Bible Study, right? If you're looking for the word Bible study, you're like, oh, that person requested a Bible study. If you are wanting to find some, or if you're wondering if somebody came in from, boy, it is written. I wonder if it's IIW or it is written. I cannot remember. So I'm just going to try IIW and see if it searches and it is written lead. Yeah. IIW, it is written media that you find in here. So, you know, this person apparently came from Discover Bible School, Focus on Prophecy lesson additionally, which is also Voice of Prophecy, another Discover Bible Study later on, it is written media. So when you have 4 things, that person is probably very interested because they have come through multiple ministries and they are very much requesting these Bible studies. We have added some of our own tags. Your church can organize yourselves that way. If you want to add, we add A, B, C. You see C here, interested in praying together, but not really a B contact, like we're sitting down and study. So you can add your own tags. You can organize, and I'm not going to bore you with those details because that's what the training and interest tracker is about, which is right here. You go to interesttracker.org/training, and then you will see their training videos. They are short. They are very easy to watch.
Welcome to Interest Tracker.
And see, this one's only 2 minutes, and he will go step by step through every single thing of how to use the tags and how to do everything that you need to do on here. then this is from the people that made the software. And just so you guys understand, Interest Tracker is made by Sermonview, which is an Adventist company, made with the way that we usually use the leads. So a lot of the details in here are very easy to work with, because it'll give you ways to add decisions, ways to add follow-up, ways to add different things. And they'll show you how you can text people from the software if you want that feature. You can add more fields to see on this one. I'm just going to show you this one more feature here, and that is column visibility. It's a very important one. I use it a lot. I like to see my dates. I like date added. There's several different dates worded on here, and I always get confused as to why we have more than one, but date added is what I look for. And it shows right there in that column. And note that you can actually have state, address, zip code show. Everything that's lighter colored is not showing on the main screen, and everything that's dark is showing. So say I don't want email anymore, but now I want to know what zip code they're in. You see, and now I have zip code showing and date added. And when it's a really long list, say I didn't sort by it as written, I just had my nice long list, I would get confused as to who is supposed to be at the top. You see those up and down arrows here help me, because I can get them to either show the latest date or the most recent date. So if I click it twice, I should be able to get everything from 2022 that just came in today. Ms. Becky apparently just requested this a few hours ago. And so did Ms. LaCoya, right? Because these leads are coming in. So they just came in, my free Bible study, fall 2022, which is a Facebook ad, and it was geo-distributed. And when I click on Ms. Becky, who just came in, I can find her address, her phone number, and her email. So I've got everything, and I know she requested a Bible study, but it wasn't specified as to what kind. So now I can just contact Ms. Becky, which I will talk about in a moment, and then I can add my interactions, or I can add my notes after I have made contact with her, so that I can keep everything organized in one place and know exactly what has happened with each one. So that's the main thing to show you with these. Let me do a stop share and go back to my PowerPoint. All right. So then the question that comes frequently, obviously, is, okay, I got these leads now, but what do I do? How do I follow up on these leads? The way that I could think of it is, if we keep in mind goals. What are our goals when we follow up with these leads? Number one goal is you're trying to have, I don't know if it's number one or number two. I think they're both at the same time. But one goal, obviously, is to get these Bible studies, either personal or correspondence. Different people are in different places, either of desire or schedule or comfort level, right? Because they may not know you yet. It's okay if they're not ready for personal. As long as they're engaging in it and studying the Bible, you can at least set them up on correspondence. And it doesn't have to be correspondence through the mail. It could ideally be correspondence through drop-off. And why do I prefer drop-off? It's because of the second one. The second goal is connection with you and the church members, personal and through events. If I'm dropping off a Bible study, it gives me a chance to pray with them every time if they're home, or for them to simply, I don't know, get to know each other for a moment. They could say, I could ask them, how did you like that previous study? Did you have any questions? If I send it to them in the mail, they may answer it if I write them a little note in the lesson, but it's less likely than if it is as a person thing. Now, I know that means a lot of driving, but at the same time, the amount of gas I'm spending to do there anymore seems to be equivalent to about that stamp I'm putting on the envelope to send in. So I could almost look at it that I'm kind of in the same place, and the post office has been losing so many things lately. It's been driving all of us crazy, because they seem to start losing things in the mail. So these people are not getting these lessons on time, or some not getting them at all. And then the other goal that I have whenever I am following up with this lead is I want to connect with them. And eventually I want them connected with other church members. And I can do that basically through the personal touch or through the church events. So let me go through some of the recommendations that we're doing. And keep in mind, I'm using the word recommendations on purpose. Everybody gets to fight in their own armor, and it is very important that this gets set up at each church according to the way the pastor's leadership is, and the personal ministries leaders and the elders at that church, or a Bible worker if that's what you have there. From a conference, we just provide recommendations from our team. We have Bible workers, we've been doing this. So take or leave the recommendations as it's done. I'm pretty sure you will see the wisdom in them, but everything happens slightly differently, I think, at each church. So one, obviously, is try your best to reach out within a few days to a couple of weeks from the initial request. Some of the leads you'll get from media, that's not possible because that media lead was from 3 months ago or 6 months ago, whatever it is that we finally got it from that ministry and sent it your way. But it's no big deal because that person most likely already received what they requested from It Is Written, that DVD or that book. You're just simply touching base with them to pray with them, to establish contact, to see if they want Bible studies or anything else. So that one is not as much in a hurry. But these Facebook ads, nobody but you is reaching out. When that name gets assigned to you, we're not sending them lessons. There's none of that. So if you want them to remember and for the best results, is they need to be able to get that initial contact fairly soon after they fill out the Facebook ad. Also, the Facebook ad, keep in mind that they were scrolling through their Facebook, looking at their friends' pictures, for all I know. They saw this ad pop up. They said, hey, that sounds neat. Let me see what this is. Then they saw a form. Maybe they clicked autofill. It autofilled their information. Then they clicked submit. And then they went back looking at their friends' puppy pictures. So what I'm trying to say with that is it's not the same as getting a card in the mail, sitting down at the dining room table, filling it out with your hand, right? The level of memory that takes, right? The way that gets imprinted in the brain, then putting a stamp on it, walking down to your mailbox and putting it in, it's a very different level. And so don't be surprised that it takes a little bit of reminding them or a prompting, and also the fact that you do have to act very quickly, or they might be like, I never filled that out, because so much has happened so quickly right after that they might not actually even remember until you really jar the memory. But obviously they had enough spiritual desire to do that to begin with. And that's what's important, is the Holy Spirit prompted them. They gave out a lot of personal information. So you got to count on that and let the Holy Spirit prompt them again when you meet them in person, that obviously that desire is there somewhere. 2, in person is best. When we started the Leads program, we had to do things virtually because we were all quarantined, especially at the very beginning. We had no choice. That does not work very well. It worked a little bit back then at the beginning, and then stopped working less and less and less, to where people are hardly ever answering to their phone calls, their text messages, or emails. So we need to try to do this in person. So ideally with a gift bag that contains their first 1 to 2 lessons, a small book. You'll see a recommendation on our website of the small books that we recommend to put in there. The letter, the reason I said the letter is because that is provided for you to get inspired from or use as is, again, on our website. And maybe one more item like a bookmark. And if they're not home and you don't want to keep coming back, depends on your schedule, pretend that you're the mailman and you're delivering the actual lessons, right? Instead of depending on the mailman doing it, this way they got a personal touch, because they get home and they find a gift bag on their front step, which is a little bit more personal than an envelope in their mailbox. So you can leave it at the bag which is why the letter is inside. The letter explains everything. But ideally, if they're not too far from your home, maybe try them again. It would be ideal for them to do it. And here's why. The goals at the first visit is, 1, obviously, to give them the gift bag and to briefly explain the Bible studies that are inside. Have them get excited about the studies they received. They didn't know what they were going to receive. And whatever the study your church chose, maybe your church chose It Is Written study guides, or the Amazing Facts Panorama Prophecy that they just did recently. So explain to them why it is that they will enjoy what's inside that gift bag, right? So briefly explain the studies to them, let them know they can do it in their own time, at their own speed, and that you're available to them to answer questions. Now, for this, you have a script. Okay, we have the script on our website. You can refer to the script, you can do it word for word the way it's on there, or you can do your own thing, but at least it gives you an idea. Okay, so there is a script for this that we're recommending. The second goal that you have at the door is to get their specific prayer request. So if possible, you can even pray with them briefly after you do that. You let them know you've been praying for them prior to visiting them, which hopefully you have been. And then you're there just to find out, now, is there something specific that I can pray for you? I've been praying for you anyway, but I don't have anything specific. And then just have a casual conversation, watch their body language. If they're in a hurry, if there's something on the stove, the child is crying, right? I mean, speed it up, or maybe just let them, you might not be able to pray with them at the door. You might be able to just say, I wrote those down, I'll be in touch, right? Just be very respectful. Imagine what it would be like if you were in their shoes. And then the third goal at that first visit is to make sure they have your contact information and for them to know you're going to be in touch. Right? Set the expectations of future communication. I'll reach out in a week. You don't have to let them know how or make it specific, or you don't have to sit down with them in a week unless you feel like they're really ready for that. You could just say, I'll touch base. I'll get you the next lessons, or I'll reach out to pray with you one more time. Whatever it is that you, in your style and your armor, and again, the body language you're reading, makes sense at that time. But it could, it's a nice thing for them to be able to know that they now actually get a personalized Bible teacher that's available to them. Most people don't get that. Another thing is to put their name on a card in your Bible and to pray for them regularly. That's what I was saying originally. And then you get an assigned prayer partner that also prays for them and you. We highly recommend, and you'll see this in the resources on the website, that everybody gets paired up 2 by 2, and it does not have to be at the door 2 by 2. It could be simply by one person being at home, which is the one that is your ministry partner. And then even if you were there with them, it's ideal to have 2 people at a door, but that's not always feasible with everybody's schedule. And as long as you're not going in a dangerous neighborhood, you could just deliver a gift bag and say hello and pray with somebody at a door by yourself, knowing that someone else is in the ministry with you by praying for you and for them. If you can't reach them in person, right, you may not have their address. They may be too far away. Who knows? Maybe they're an orphan lead that you're following up, or it's a gated community you absolutely cannot get in. Whatever the case is, you can mail them the lesson. And then after you mail them the lesson, you can reach out by text, phone, email, in that order. Texting works better than phone, and phone works better than email. And you can be persistent. Be aware that it might take more than one time, but don't be pushy. So it's a fine balance, and one that I'm always fighting with. But the Holy Spirit will give you wisdom, I'm sure. Number 6 is to start the Bible studies gradually. Now, this one, again, is a recommendation. Some of you may not agree with this. Some of you may have a different style. I am learning that this is working pretty well. They start them gradually. Make yourself available to them. When you date somebody, you don't propose marriage at the very onset, right? It's gradual. It takes one date, and the first date might be shorter, and you just go on forward. But it's the same thing with this. This person doesn't know you. They don't know what you believe. It's a big ask for them to decide that, hey, I'm going to sit down with you for 45 minutes every week and let you just share with me things. It's a big thing for them to make that kind of step. I feel like we're almost skipping a step sometimes. So sometimes it's nice to start gradually. Sometimes it's nice to simply say, here's your first lesson or 2. Go ahead and fill them out in your own time. I'll reach out to you in a week. And if you have any questions, maybe we can review them for a few minutes, which is a very different situation than committing them to something so heavy. And the first few lessons are always easier anyway. So you say, did you have any questions? What did you think of this one? Did you have a favorite part? Did something else stand out to you? Okay, awesome. 5-10 minute conversation, pray together, you're off. And so you're always basically, what is that? Under promise, over deliver. You're always setting their expectation to where they don't feel like they have to get rid of you, but they're excited and look forward to the next one. Also allow them to do some of the talking at the beginning. You need to know where they're at spiritually. You need to understand what it is that they're needing. So there has to be, and plus people are going to enjoy it the most if they got a chance to really share of themselves. People love talking about themselves. And obviously balance that out, because you do want to have time to go into the Bible and not just a social visit. But try to review the studies together at least briefly and then increase gradually, right? It's better for you to have some contact with them and some interaction than not at all. Don't go into an all or nothing kind of mindset. And then you can increase it gradually as he allows. And also don't be afraid to ask boldly. And you'll be surprised, people are willing to study the Bible. Nobody's ever asked them. So don't, or on the other side of being too afraid or starting too gradually, have boldness and realize that you're offering them a beautiful service for free. And then 7, very important, is to find opportunities to connect with them and to connect them to other church members and inviting them to church community events. I've heard of a church that did a kayak trip for their Bible study students. And the church members specifically, and they invited everybody. They had a blast. Someone else just said that they invited them to their fall festival. I heard of another one that had a bonfire personally at their home, and they said, "Hey, would you like to come to our bonfire next time?" A person that they just recently met, come to our house. So connect. Find ways to connect them, not just for the Bible studies, but in relationships, and make sure that there's someone neutral in events. I wouldn't invite them to church the first time you met them unless the Holy Spirit leads otherwise, because you haven't studied the Sabbath, and that's just a big jump for them to understand that. I would invite them to things that give them a chance to get to know you, with things that are in common, that build bridges, right? Before you're able to deliver the things that seem to be different or varied or new, to build a whole lot of bridges and a whole lot of commonality in that relationship. All right, so then I keep mentioning the website. There's a lot of resources in the website, and I think I'm going to go show it to you in just a moment. Yeah, let me actually show it to you right now, and then I'm going to go to the review. So if you go to gccsda.com/ministerial/leads, I know that's a lot to remember, but you can just simply navigate it by going to the tab. Let me go to this one. So if you go under departments, so gccsda.com, if you go under departments, whatever you end up on the whole thing, you go by alphabetical, you go to ministerial, and under ministerial, it says leads. Or type in gccsda/ministerial/leads. I want to make sure you're aware, if you're not signed up for our updates, you can click on this and make sure that we have your email address. Most likely, if you receive the link for this meeting, then we obviously have your email address, but you might have found out about this from a friend. So here is where you find things under resources. This is the most important part of it. Steps and recommendations for pastors and leaders, follow-up steps and recommendations for volunteers, follow-up script. This is the in-person script I was talking about. Supplies, checklist, and resources. I'm going to show this one to you briefly. And the reason for it is because this is a little bit different. So the supplies checklist, in case you're doing door-to-door survey, these are the things we recommend you have. In case you're following up a lead in person, you need the script, their name, lesson 1 and 2, the gift bag, the gift book, the bookmark, the letter, and a way for a member to leave their personal contact info, right? You see, it's check. Oh, I have everything I need. So we just decided to make it easy for you. Supplies you would need for correspondence Bible studies, and then other necessary supplies that, depending on how your church does this, that you may want, right? You may want a graduation certificate when they finish, baptismal preparation books, beginner Sabbath school quarterly when they get to that point, right? So just some other neat things for you to be aware of for that time. And here are the links to some of the supplies that we're recommending. Some churches are saying, well, we don't know what to use. What do you guys use? So your pastor will be the main one, and your church board and your person ministries leader, etc., to decide this. This is just recommendations from us and some of the prices. I'm not going to go in detail. These are the Bible lessons, kids Bible studies. Please try to have kids Bible studies. Sometimes the parents will say no, but the kids will say yes. And these are fantastic. The Lifting Up Jesus, they are so good. And then sharing books. Here's the one that I was referring to. These are the main ones that we use. There's a new version now again at ABC, and I think it's about the same price, possibly even less for a case. When they go over 100, that's per book, which is amazing. And then there's other sharing books you can do. And here's some books that you can do when they finish the studies. Note that this is Bible readings for the home, not at the beginning. This is a good one for students' graduation gift, if you're wanting to do that. Same thing, this is a baptismal preparation book, and here's the Sabbath School Quarterlies for a brand new person that just started coming to your church. Steps with Jesus Sabbath School Quarterly for beginners, volume 1 through 4. It takes them through a whole year. So these are some resources that will help. Supplies, some people are saying, well, where do I get these gift bags? Well, here's really cheap, $15 or $50, or Bible verses, $10 or 48 Bible verses, which are really nice, the bookmarks. So it doesn't have to break the bank to get some of these supplies. Clipboards are for surveys, and these are the labels, return address labels and book labels. One other thing on the website to show you really quick is important where you find that letter. Great Bible Courses. So Great Bible Courses is the umbrella ministry that the conference came up with to allow for a name for you to introduce yourself when you're at the door. It can get very confusing when you're saying, oh, I am with It Is Written at this door and Amazing Facts at that door and my free Bible study at the third door. I'm confused by now. And rightly so. So Great Bible Courses is your umbrella name. And Great Bible Courses works with all of these ministries, is in partnership with all these ministries. So it helps if you know the other ministry the person connected with, but this way you have one name on your letterhead. So when you go in here, you see the Leeds letter template, the one that's Word, and the reason it's Word instead of PDF is because you have to be able to change it as need be. Let me see if he opens it up properly in this. He probably won't, but it's okay. There it is. You see, so it says Great Bible Courses, and it makes you look official. And you also have a way to sign at the bottom. And here is where you would put your phone number, email, and address. Ideally, this would be the church's phone number, email, and address. So when I mean email, I recommend that it doesn't say, you know, whatever your city's name is, Dalton at daltonsdachurch.com or something, you know, to where it actually says a more neutral email address, because some of them may not be ready to hear the word SDA yet. And different people have different opinions about this, and that's obviously perfectly fine. But I always take it by Jesus that he did not reveal to most people that he was the Messiah because they were not able to handle it. He revealed them, and some who knew, he told them not to say that to anyone. So same thing with this. Sometimes people are not ready to find out that we're Seventh-day Adventists the first day they met us, before they got a chance to see all the things we have in common and how truly Bible-based we are. And then they are able to understand and wrap their mind around it. So because of that, sometimes it's nice to do a neutral. For phone number, we recommend that you get a Google Voice that basically says, hello, you have reached Great Bible Courses. If you have any questions, right, instead of saying, hello, you have reached the Dublin Seventh-day Adventist Church or some other church name. It makes it stay professional. It looks like everything else that you have correspondence. You can change the content of what this letter says. Obviously, this is just what we're recommending. This is what I send out when I do mine. If you're wondering how you would get your own Google Voice number, this is the Google Voice handbook of how you can connect that. It's free to set it up if you have a Gmail account. And this is the community voicemail template. This is the template of, well, why do I say on that voicemail? Well, you could say this on the voicemail if you want to. And also in here, you would get that return address label. You can put your church's address there. You look professional when you send out the letters. And then this is an important one. This is a label you could take out and put inside of your books, because all the books and all the Bible studies that go out, if they have the email and the phone number, in case they have prayer requests, it could be months later or years later. If nothing happened with that one, that book is still out there being a witness. And when they've read it, they need to be able to reach out to you. And then so each book has a label in it. And this is the 5163 labels that I showed you a link for on the other one. You could just simply print these and put them in. Now, this is a lot of information. You don't have to do all of this. Keep it simple, print the letter, and put your own phone number on there if you just want to keep it simple. But if for some reason your churches wants to do more of these features, we have them available for you. If you want to just keep it simple with, if you're just starting out, as soon as you get your name of the person, you get your script here, you get your letter there, you just print it and you put it inside the bag. You could just write your own personal contact information, even handwritten on the letter if you wanted to. And then that way it simplifies. So I'm going to go back and do a share screen, and I'm about to finish here. Let me go to where we were at. So to review, 1, you talk with your pastor or leads leader to be added to your church's leads program, either as a Bible study person, a prayer partner, or a tech assistant. You watch the software training videos at this interesttracker.org/training. They're short. You follow up promptly, or any names that get assigned to you. The software is going to send you an email every time that a name gets assigned to you, so you don't have to always wonder if you have somebody. You follow up with them in person, and you establish that relationship. You try to start personal or drop off Bible studies, and then you continue the relationship and you connect them to other members in community events. I hope that helps simplify so much talking from me. But before I end, there is one more thing. And I have found out that we end up having the main obstacle, and that comes from discouragement, and it seems to have to do with not setting the proper expectations. So I wanted to help you out a little bit with that. About 10 to 40% of the leads turn into conversations or Bible studies when you're being consistent. Okay, so if you visited 10 people and 3 of them had conversations or took the Bible studies from you, that is absolutely normal. That is not low. So don't be discouraged by that. Realize that that's just how the process works. Bible workers who have been at this for a long time realize that, and we're aware of that. They do have spiritual interest, and God is working in their life. You just need to find out how you can minister to them, right? Are you just going to be their prayer partner? Are you just going to provide resources? Are you just going to be that friend? Are you going to be their Bible teacher, right? Maybe you're just going to help them with that unloading of the groceries because you got there exactly at a time when the semi-disabled person was trying to unload the thing. And before you even told them about the gift bag, you helped offer to unload their car. You know what I mean? You just got to find out how it is you can minister in their life. And then your duty specifically is to consistently plant, pray, and be available, and let God do the increase. Our duty is not to worry about the increase or about the results. God is calling us to just plant, to pray, and to be available to them, and especially to God's using. So be patient through the process. It can be a long journey. And here's 3 verses and quotes that help me with that. Psalm 126:5 says, those who sow in joy, no, those who sow in tears will reap with joy. So if you're not crying at some point when following up leads, you're not fulfilling the scripture. At some point, it's supposed to be difficult, maybe frustrating, maybe heartbreaking. Depending on the situation, it is normal to sow in tears, and the promise comes that we will reap in joy. Another quote from Christian Service, page 101, if you fail 99 times in 100, but succeed in saving the one soul from ruin, you have done a noble deed for the master's cause. It is worth it. And Galatians 6:9 is the promise. Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Here's how you can contact us. Again, that's our website. You can contact me directly at lcollins@gccsda.com. My info is also on our website, and also the whole leads team info. There's 10 of us, regional Bible instructors in the conference that work in different regions. And then you can sign up to receive updates on our website as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to any questions and comments that you may have.